Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka Mono Bluetron, back with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. So, today we're playing GEARGIA Karakuri, as requested by a Twitch viewer. 21st century streaming platform Twitch.tv allows you to export videos to YouTube, blow them up, screen grab the page, and then enlarge the request in Microsoft Paint, which is how you get the beautiful, crisp quality image you are seeing on screen right now. For those of you who don't know, GEARGIA was a deck from way back when that was really fun. It had really powerful monsters like GEARGIA Armor, it had really powerful traps like GEARGIA Gear, and it had a really powerful Xyz that you probably actually heard of called Gear Gigant X. Unfortunately, in Konami's never-ending quest to destroy all forms of fun in the universe, key portions of the deck were limited, and finally, they have decided that the deck is non-degenerate enough to be allowed to return. Let's try and prove them wrong. So this is the list I've settled on. You'll notice I'm playing basically a bare minimum of a lot of these cards in order to facilitate main deck space for really good strategies like Fiendish Chain and Geargiano Mark III. Memes aside, there's two ways to play GEARGIA. The first is the way we're playing now, sort of a Karakuri Synchro spam variant, and the second way is to basically play hand artifact trap tricks with GEARGIA stuff as an advantage engine. This was much better when the game was a lot slower. It was also much better when Hat was a viable archetype. It was also much better when GEARGIA Gear was at 1 because you didn't really have another option. So now that all those things aren't problems anymore, we're playing this version. We got 3 copies of GEARGIA Armor, best card in the deck, flips face up, adds a GEARGIA monster to your hand. Basically, the entire purpose of the deck is to protect this guy for exactly 1 turn, after which you can go into one of your 50 billion game-winning combos. 3 copies of GEARGIA Accelerator. This card is also very good. Special summons himself from the hand if you have a GEARGIA. Fun fact, does not say once per turn. 3 GEARGIA Arsenal. This card might as well say tribute this card and add a GEARGIA armor from your deck to the side of the field. 1 GEARGIA Augur, which adds a GEARGIA Armor about 100% of the time to your hand. Incredibly slow, but god, we really need this card, so we'll play 1. 1 copy of Gen X Ally Birdman. This deck represents 1 more in a long list of strategies, which is the reason we can't have Birdman back to 3. 1 copy of Geargiano, 3 of Mark II, and 1 of Mark III. I understand Mark III is bad. I'm playing him because I always want to be able to have targets for GEARGIA Gear, and drawing him isn't the worst thing in the world. Then we have 2 Karakuri Dog, 1 Karakuri Strategist. Those are for our Bure combos, which I'll get into in a sec. 2 copies of Instant Fusion. This is for Noden in order to push for damage or establish lethal or do any number of things with your rank 4 engine. 1 copy of Regeki, 1 copy of Soul Charge, 1 copy of Upstart, 1 copy of Book of Moon. Don't see this a lot, but it protects your GEARGIA Armor, so here we are. 2 copies of Twin Twister, 3 copies of GEARGIA Gear, 3 copies of Quaking. God, I love Quaking. 3 copies of Fiendish Chain. I know how bad this card is, but god, we really need to protect this guy. 2 copies of Solemn Notice, 1 of Warning, and 1 Vanity's Emptiness. In the extra, we have Noden, no explanation needed. 1 Buradio, this is the 8-star Karakuri effect guy. 2 of this guy who seems to have like a stake in his hand right here. Bure, the 7-star Karakuri guy. 1 Scrap Dragon, pretty good in decks with Fiendish Chain, so, you know, I mean. Also, he's pretty good in GEARGIA because you got to clear the way in order to push for exact lethal. 1 Black Rose if things have gone terribly wrong. 1 rank 7, I doubt you'll ever go into. And then a bunch of rank 4s. Basically what the deck aims to do is sit on a GEARGIA Armor for 1 turn and then establish a combo that allows you to get out a Karakuri Shogun Bure. After you do that, you can start special summoning these guys in order to go into more Synchro monsters by utilizing copies of GEARGIA Accelerator that you get off GEARGIA Armor to make an exact lethal with Buradio and 2 copies of Bure. You can also make Scrap Dragons for lethal in order to clear the way for stuff. There's just a whole host of ideas, but they all stem from having GEARGIA Armor on the field and protecting him. So let's go into the games and see how things turn out. So our first matchup is against Ancient Gear. I saw this deck about 900 times on ladder today. I guess people are trying it out. It doesn't seem particularly powerful, but the fusion monster is hard to get over. We've opened pretty poorly. We only have a Geargiano Mark II and a bunch of like stun traps in our hand. Hopefully this Upstart will make things work just a little bit better. We go ahead and draw, and we get GEARGIA Gear, and I'm like, that's a little better. At the very least, that ensures you have a GEARGIA X next turn. He's going to go ahead and Wyvern, add a card to his hand, attack in. I don't have any problem with an attack in. At end step, I'm going to go go ahead and gear, get the rest of my Mark IIs, and see what's going on. We're going to make GEARGIA X use its effect to get GEARGIA armor, set GEARGIA armor, and then just hope and pray to God that this Fiendish Chain and this Solemn Notice are going to be enough. He told me in chat right now, should I do it? Should I go off? And I was like, yeah, please. I have 2 cards that disrupt. That's probably enough. Go ahead and Fiendish Chain this guy just because flipping it up is good for me, but I can't use its effect because of Ancient Gear Wyvern's effect. So I'm going to do this. Get GEARGIA Accelerator, use GEARGIA Accelerator to special summon itself, use GEARGIA X to get Gen X ally Birdman, return GEARGIA Accelerator to summon Birdman, which is where we are right now, summon GEARGIA Accelerator again because remember, I still have a face-up GEARGIA. Then I'm going to go into Karakuri using Birdman and Accelerator. Karakuri's effect is that he can special summon a Karakuri monster from my deck. There's one that switches the battle position of a card, so I can activate Armor's effect and then flip him back up to get another GEARGIA Accelerator to my hand. I don't do that here because I have lethal anyway, so I'm just going to go for the easy out, using Scrap Dragon to destroy this card, using Mark II to get another card, and just, you know, attacking like a boosted monkey. Thankfully, this is enough damage, and I am going to walk away with this game. You know, as always, we are not opening GEARGIA Armor, which is a recurring theme with this deck. Here we've opened a Tuner and a GEARGIA Accelerator that can't special summon itself. Not exactly what we want to see, but we do have a copy of GEARGIA Gear, and that represents something a lot more fun. Our opponent is playing Superheavy Samurais, you know, the greatest deck in the history of time. So I'm feeling alright. His turn 1 is to Cyclone this GEARGIA Gear, which I have no problem with. I will just chain. Go and get Geargiano this time because I'm feeling it. And then set this Soul Piercer. Now, there is a combo if you have a Geargiano Mark II or a GEARGIA Gear and a GEARGIA Accelerator, which we're going to do right now. We're going to go ahead and summon Accelerator, go into GEARGIA X, use GEARGIA X's effect to get Birdman from our deck, use Birdman to return Mark II, special summon Birdman, use Mark II to get back the GEARGIA Accelerator from our graveyard, use Birdman and the GEARGIA Accelerator to go into Bourré, use Bourré's effect to get Watchdog, use Watchdog alongside the Mark II that we still have on our field to get Bourré, use Bourré's effect to get Watchdog, and at this point we can do whatever we want. We have an instant fusion, so I'm like, sure, let's make Scrap Dragon too. We'll blow up this set card and get in for lethal. And that's what we do. So by now you're probably realizing this is a pretty involved combo deck, but what happens when you don't really draw your main combo? Well, let's find out. As you can see here, we have Mark II, Accelerator, and Birdman, which is some good stuff, but not really all we want to see. Our opponent is playing Synchro, which is bad news for us. He's going to Armageddonite for the most fair card in existence, then add the second most fair card in existence to his hand. We're going to go ahead and use Mark II to get out Accelerator. Didn't really have to do that. Then use Birdman to return Accelerator, then use Accelerator to summon itself, then sync with Birdman and Accelerator into Bourré. Bourré is going to get Watchdog, which we can use with Mark II in order to get a second copy of Bourré, and then that Bourré is going to get another Watchdog. Now, from here we can go into like Big Eye or something like that, or Red Eye's Darkness Metal, but you know, I'm not really feeling any of that. I'd prefer to just go for a damage against the Synchro deck. I want to constrain his Soul Charge plays, you know, prevent his ability to sort of abuse his life total as a resource, and we do have these 2 stun traps, which are probably good. He's going to go ahead and instant fusion. I'm like, I guess I can Solemn Notice this. I prefer to Solemn Notice so he doesn't have more material to sync with, and additionally, I probably can't allow him to get this Armageddonite out again. I know that he's not going to be able to get the effect, but he does have a Red Resonator in his hand, and I don't want to give him more material to work with. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then of course he has Soul Charge, you know, classic Soul Charge. I'm going to go ahead and Fiendish Chain this guy, and I'm like, okay, that's the end of my turn. I hope he doesn't do anything else. Here comes the Red Resonator, and unfortunately he has Orochi the Squall in hand. He's going to go into Blackwing, the card that has never been played in Blackwing, and then go into it again. Really fun, exciting Synchro interactions. Then go into Charge Warrior. The card he draws off Charge Warrior is Foolish Burial, which he uses to send Jet Synchron to the graveyard. He's going to use Jet Synchron to send Plague Spreader to the graveyard, which is exactly what I did not want to happen when I Fiendish Chained the Armageddonite. He's going to go ahead and get these out and make this little Tuner Man, and then go into a Omega. So we have 1 Omega and 1 Blackwing still remaining. At this point, time is getting pretty low, and I'm feeling good about that. And as soon as he goes in a Coral Dragon, time expires, and we win the game. I mean, at the end of the day, we just were the better duelist. So we're back with the deck. I'm calling that a 2-1 because there's no way in hell we were going to win that last game. I was really impressed with this deck, and it felt to me a lot like Ritual Beast, like a very involved, combo-heavy deck that if you know the combos feels absurdly powerful, and if you're kind of on them, it still feels pretty good. Um, Truthfully, the only card I wasn't super happy with was GEARGIA, obviously, but I think it is a necessary evil, and we probably have to play one copy of it. I understand that if people want to build this deck, they're going to balk at the fact that Quaking Mirror Force has a $20 price tag, but I'll tell you this. If you don't want to play Quaking, and I can't believe I'm saying this, just play Waboku. Man, it really is sweet that Quaking sets all your opponent's monsters and like really screws up their plays. But at the end of the day, all you're really trying to do is prevent your GEARGIA armor from being destroyed, and Waboku does that probably better than any other trap. I mean, if you don't even want to play the Solemn Strikes, you could probably find other stun options, more continuous traps, or just play Threatening Roar. Aside from that, I really, really enjoyed this. I'll certainly be playing it on Twitch tomorrow, and I look forward to seeing what it can do. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed watching me play Babby's first Synchro deck. I hope you enjoyed watching me do everything I could to avoid playing Hat, and most of all, I hope you just enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give me a like, a comment, or a subscribe. It really helps me out. And if you want to see me play the decks I make on this show on stream, I'm on Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday from 9:30 a.m. to noon Eastern Standard Time. Links in the description. Finally, if there's a certain strategy or archetype you want to see me play on a future episode of this show, let me know in the comments below and I will do my best to accommodate you. Otherwise, I will see you Friday.